everyone, welcome back to another Silver Coin podcast. This time with me once again Lan, you all know him now pretty well, game designer, and me Gal. So how have you been, Lan?
Oh, being pretty great. Hi, guys.
Yeah, September is pretty busy for all of us, but I'm happy that we took some time to record another one of this. It's been a blast recording those. And this time we're taking a request from one of our community members and we're actually talking about monsters and lore. What do you say, Lan? Are you excited?
Yeah, I'm excited. Let's hop into it. Plenty of monsters to cover.
Yeah, so basically, how we envisioned is that we're trying to do the entire monster overview to basically see how monsters work, why we designed them the way we did, which ones might, eat you alive first, and maybe tease what's coming next. See some unique abilities, maybe even tap into some scenario monsters. But yeah, first and foremost, maybe we can start with just the gist of the monsters. Obviously, we're playing Silver Coin Age of Monster Hunters, which is the game about monster hunting. So obviously, monsters should be the center of this game. The monsters that we're hunting, right? But if you talk about the design standpoint, Lan, what role do monsters actually play in this design? Because I think it's actually a bit more special than people would think. Um,
Yeah. I would definitely say it's different. Would be the easiest way to say it. Basically, you have to know that Silvercorn Age of Monster Hunters is a really big game, like an epic sprawling game. That's depending on what way you play it, solo, cooperative, or competitive, will play a bit differently. However, the general sense of it is that basically you are traversing this world, you're building your characters, and you're answering the calls of the six kingdoms, which are basically infested by monsters. And lore wise, there is a good reason why this is happening, and it's all hint connected with the flow that is all around. And this flow, the flow is changing the creatures in the area, even people, and so on, and it's affecting them and thus making them monsterish, let's say. And basically, why I'm even saying this is that the particular role of the monsters in this series is basically uh, they are the means to an end. And means to an end, when I say it like this, is either in competitive game, usually, it's about getting the coins, and monsters are the most efficient way of gaining coins, which is slash victory points. And in scenario-driven way, it's basically more about completing missions, special objectives that you have. But monsters are always part of it. It's not like you're, in one scenario you're a firefighter, in the second one you're a monster hunter, and the third one you're no slave. No, it doesn't work, doesn't work like this. So basically, with that said, of course there is a big emphasis on the monsters. However, the most important thing is about the entire journey, about preparing to slay the monster, to basically get gain the knowledge needed, to maybe stock on some potions, or maybe gather some herbs, and so on and so forth, to eventually go and fight the monster. So even though some people may think that like Silver Coinage Monster Hunters, the main focus is in the battle of the monsters, while this is of course part of the game, an important part of the game, because you need to do it, it's about overall journey, more or less. And why am I even describing this? Because when you basically reach to a point when you need to learn about the monsters and see how to beat it and so on, it's more about, no, it's not like this epic fight that you're clashing with like 30 minutes and so on, because the game just wouldn't work like that, because it's too big of a game. And like if you're playing with many players, and you would play it like for days, if this would be the case. So we needed to develop a way to basically have these quick fights, but at the same time basically telling the people to prepare, or maybe face the consequences of not winning the fight. And then depending on the type of monster and the type of the gameplay you're playing, we are able to explore and dwell into the monsters a bit more, and adding to the fight. So with the level 1 type monsters that we will be talking about, it's more about, this is a monster. It's really good at at night. If it's near the water, it also gains strength and so on and forth. Some may be poisonous, some may be easier to kill with legendary weapons and stuff like that. But as you go on and go to the level 2 and level 3, they become more special in the way also how they affect you during the fight. It's because level 1 monsters you'll be fighting a bit more. So like, I don't know, 3 4 fights depending on um, what type of game you're even playing or strategy you're pursuing. But with level 2 monsters, level 1 monsters, they may be monsters that you'll be fighting for like once per game. So those fights then have the room to be a bit more grandiose, to offer those a bit more options and challenges. And then especially monsters that come into scenarios where they may be a big boss, or they may be the entire purpose of the scenario is centered around the monsters and so on and so forth. So I hope that explains it a bit on where the focus is and how things are done. And last thing that I will say is, of course, we have an idea of how to further on expand on this and make it a bit more grandiose and so on and so forth. But I don't think that the main game as it is the room for that. Uh, there will be potentially, if the game is well received, future expansion for such an option to explore such an option. Yeah, and maybe today at the end we can maybe even talk about those options, but doesn't really matter. I think that I have covered most of it.
Yeah, and maybe I just like to add that even though like the battle itself does not look as complicated as maybe it could be, but actually it's quite complex in terms of how it was designed. Basically, that each game mechanic ties really heavily to the battle itself. So whatever you're doing during the game, whether it's gathering resources, whether it's moving, everything is tied to the end battle, right? To the preparation, right? So that's also makes it a lot more flexible, a lot more replayable, so that one monster will be always at a different location at a different specific time, and it's going to be different. Your situation is going to be much different, and your preparation is going to be different depending on that, right? So it's not that traditional monster hunting game where the battle itself is the main attraction. Well, obviously it is, but really we try to emphasize that how you get to that battle is even more important, right? Really, we were all fans of Witcher, and we thought that Witcher kind of, the video games captured that really well, right? When you opened your basically your book of monsters and looked which monster you have to fight, which potions you have to drink and stuff like that. So we tried to really emphasize that in the game itself. But speaking of that, how would you say that lore and atmosphere kind of connects and tie into the monsters and the game itself? So like thematically, how the monsters fit into the lore.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, the more of the game you see, the more you will be exploring that lore-wise connection, as you have put it, and also learning about, if you want to learn, of course, about the reasons of why this is happening, and also like we will go through monsters one by one, hopefully, and we will be able to say more about that. But there are certain monsters that the entire scenarios are basically um, ex- exploiting and talking more about what they are doing, what havoc they are causing, what problems to the kingdoms, and because we are basically exploring this continent of Atosia, we have a lot of different regions and then also different periods of time. We are not just covering one period, and we basically can then explore what is happening when certain monsters were a problem and what the kingdoms did to decide to dwell into that. But lore-wise, it's basically like this. In the south, the entire calamity started to appear through, you know, those portals and those let's say experimentations done by the order of natural chaos, which was basically them experimenting with the flow and trying to use it to their own advantage, but uh, they are even they don't understand it fully, and they tapped into something they don't quite understand completely, and every single time they play with it, it changes the world a bit more. The more flow is released, the more monsters appear, so to say, and so forth. And yeah, I mean, lore wise, I think that when we go through monsters like one by one and so on, we can say more things about those lore connections also.
Yeah, maybe I'll just add that I think it's pretty cool that there's a lot of Easter eggs, a lot of different lore connections or real life connections to different monsters. Maybe it's different mythologies, maybe it's different stories, maybe it's even like local lore. So yeah, we can talk about more when we talk about specific monsters, but there's a lot of like Easter eggs, so to say. So I'm happy about how we decided which monsters are in the game and which are not. There's obviously more that we play tested and did not make it or to the end game.
Didn't make the cut, yeah.
They didn't make the cut, yeah. Make the cut. That's the phrase. But yeah, okay. Maybe we can continue and go through all of the monsters. Maybe we won't have the time to talk about each and every single one of them, but we can kind of break them into like level 1, level 2, and level 3 monsters, and then maybe in the end also the scenario exclusive monsters, and talk about them like separately. So first, to cover level 1 monsters, as we mentioned, they might not be the most special monsters, unique monsters, so to say. You'll be like fighting them the most. However, they won't have any unique abilities to make them like stand out the most. However, each of them is still unique, and maybe we can point out and select a few of them that we need to or we want to highlight, and then we can maybe more extensively talk about level 2 and level 3 monsters when they're a bit more unique. Is there a specific level 1 monster land that you are most excited to talk about?
I mean, we can start. We can start with, for example, the Proteus zone, where the entire scenario is based around, and we can talk about the scenario connection, the lore connection, and stuff like that. And also Easter egg, you know,
Yeah.
this monster has it all. Like on one side, you could say the most basic monster in terms of, you know, probably you get the least coins for it usually, and it means basically that we see it as, you know, fodder monster. um, no, but looking at the card, if card you can immediately see that the monster is poisonous. Even by the art, you can see that the monster is poisonous. In this case, it gains additional strength in storms, and of course, if it's near water, and it's kind of, you know, more weak to fire, which you can see the weakness. If you have fire magic, then this monster gets -1 strength. Now, Easter egg wise, maybe you explain the connection to those who do not know.
Yes, so since we're from Slovenia, we tried to, you know, use as much as of Slovenian lore and folklore as we could. And Proteus Olm is actually the Latin name for one of the. I think it's a type of a salamander, if I'm not mistaken, but it's basically a cave salamander that lives only in Slovenia and can be found in one of the biggest, if not the biggest, cave in the world, Postojna Cave, which is one of the main attractions of Slovenia.
Not the biggest cave, but the
It's
oldest tourist cave. Yeah,
the
that's
oldest
correct.
tourist cave. Yeah, it's a special cave. It's one of the two main attractions in Slovenia as well, and you can only find this specific type of Proteus Olm inside that cave. It's blind. It's it looks like a salamander, but it's an attraction nonetheless. And we tried to use that I guess as a source of inspiration when we were designing this monster. We obviously made it more scary, bigger, more poisonous. But it's a cool Easter egg, and whoever is from this area or has visited Slovenia can see the connection and can see this cool Easter egg. So I think it's cool.
Yeah. On top of that, we have devoted the entire scenario to this monster. So hats off to Proteus Home. But basically, the lore-wise connection and scenario purpose and so on is it's an introductory scenario, which means that we as designers, developers want to basically teach you the ropes and ins and ends of how to play a scenario through this type of scenario. It's a solo only scenario, and basically in that scenario the three kingdoms are infested with proteozoum, and it's causing them problems. It's poisoning their secretions are poisoning the water sources and stuff like that, and yada yada. You need to go and save them all, and you're slaughtering proteozoum
Left and
left,
right.
right, and it may look like a small small task. Proteasome is not that special, strong in strength wise and so on. However, you start totally weak. You also soon enough find out that you're playing a whack-a-mole in a sense of they are like popping out and you're on a timer, and you can lose those own missions, and you need to go and you need to complete the task fast, otherwise you have a problem. And then they're poisoning the entire land, and you yourself, when you're moving around, you have problems with also evading the poisonous routes, but also then fighting the ohms itself in order to complete the mission. So yeah, hats off to Proteasome, maybe as a example of a really base strength monster, level 1.
Yeah. Maybe I'd like to highlight another monster from the level 1, which is the River Lord, previously named also as the Waterman, which kind of sounded lame. So we renamed it to River Lord. But basically, where the Waterman kind of comes from is again another Easter egg, and this time not from real life, but actually from a tale, a very famous tale in Slovenia. Also, I think it was written by the most famous poet that in Slovenia, France Prešeren, and it's called Povodni Mož, which is basically waterman, and it's a mythological creature that lived in the Ljubljanica river, and basically kidnapped brides, and basically drowned them, and it's like a depressing poem. However, it's very famous, and it's a cool cool topic, cool tale, to kind of take inspiration from. So yeah, again, not that special in terms of power. It's again a bit of a, I mean, it's a more of a water. It's a more of a water monster, sort to say again.
But also, like, two things that you can also notice here is like that it's a spirit monster in this case, which basically means that you need to possess spirit magic to fight it, or there is like a bypass around it, but will cost you more time, more resources, and so on. And if you invest in the color dice in this case, which, because color dice are kind of different skills that you can, they're representing different skills that you can learn. Red being for those health, strength, white purposes, then green being more trickery and stuff like that, and blue having to do with magic more a bit. So if you invest in that, and if you own any color dice, then also you are basically more prepared to fight it. That would be like the short
Description.
summary, yeah, and connection lore-wise that you already mentioned. So this is the next one.
Yeah, but like showcasing these level 1 monsters also gives you kind of a good overview of how these monsters look like and how battle and preparation for those monsters actually look like, right? So you see the bonuses of the monster, what you can avoid, right? If you can see that the region is near water and the monster is stronger near water, there are ways to mitigate that, and you can definitely try and mitigate those. Or if you see that weather, in case of River Lord, is again he's stronger in storms and rain as well. So if you're deciding to fight like River Lord, and you can see that in September it's going to be clear weather, maybe you want to fight him in September because it's going to be less strong in September, right? Because of the clear weather. So this is basically how mechanically battles will look like versus those monsters, right? And then the higher up the level we go, so when you fight level 2, level 3 monsters, then come like more unique abilities and even stronger base strengths. Um, cool. Any
Yes.
other level 1 monster that you'd like to point out, or should we like move to level 2?
I mean, let's go quickly, like maybe fetch the White Lady.
Okay.
White Lady, really fast. Basically, lore-wise, she's representing as someone as this is now going to be again PG over 13 or whatever. She's basically, kind of stealing the children from the streets, like kind of grim, dark, and you can see actually the Ljubljana castle in the background, together with um, some famous architecture work from Plečnik and so on. Those who would like the Easter eggs. But other than that, she's a spirit and she's strong at night and so on and so forth. But yeah, I wanted to give it a shout out, a proper shout out. Also, then maybe Gal, you can fetch and bring the gargoyle. Yeah, this one just wanted to say, first of all, I really like the art. Shout out to Rock. But then what I wanted to say is later on, when we will be talking about scenario monsters, this one takes a bigger role, as we can see that the gargoyle actually lore
Evolves.
wise and yeah can evolve into some stronger form, and then a stronger form, and we will talk about it a bit more in the scenario monsters. Then maybe you can fetch out just why not? Oh yeah, you can fetch out Alo also.
Yeah, just a quick Easter egg also. Like if you see shapeshifter art, you can see that Alu is basically the monster that she's transforming into. Just like
Yeah,
a
yeah,
cool
yeah.
Easter egg here as well. So
Correct. A lot of those things, and also monster that praise over cemeteries and stuff like that. And maybe shout out. I will give one more. Forest Nimb. Let's go to Forest Nimb.
okay,
Yeah, this one. Yeah,
PG
again
13.
PG 13 plus for the art, but also for the look. Sometimes we are whitewashing stuff a bit too much in the community, and I mean sometimes it's okay. Some games are for kids, and certain things shouldn't be seen and so on. But on the other side, you have like a lot of games with guns and stuff like that, and everything is okay. Then all of a sudden, you see a bit of skin, and all everyone gets offended. I don't think that's appropriate, especially when there is a thematic connection and there is a purpose, and we are not shying away from it. So, anyone bothered by that, we are saying we are not shying away from that. We embrace it because these are heavy games, these are thematic games, these are some dark games in terms of Silvercoin. Silvercoin is a darker game, yeah. So in this case, this monster uses seduction. It uses seduction to basically lure you into the woods, and you can see in the art, her sisters are already waiting to do whatever to you. But anyway, I wanted to give it the shout out because I wanted to bring it back on. Bring it back. I wanted to give you a shout out because basically I wanted to maybe talk a bit about this topic because we're not going to shy away from those type of topics. So yeah, if this is not a game for you because you feel offended, then so be it. But most people who play this type of games, I don't think they do. There are much more uh, you know strong teams in correlation to that are out there in very famous games. So yeah, but the second thing I wanted to say is Rogue really, put a lot of effort into this because he was painting an homage to his girlfriend, and almost put a picture of her into this art. So shout out again to Rock for this amazing piece of art. And shout out because this was actually the quote unquote first monster art that we got, except for the werewolf. You remember, Gal?
Yeah, also Manticore, I think, was the second one, and then it was the third, was
Yeah,
the Forest Nymph.
yeah,
But it was
yeah,
also
yeah.
our poster kit when we went to Essenspiel. We had the werewolf and we had the Forest Nymph, and they were the two eye-catching arts that we put out and caught a lot of people attentions. Maybe because of the skin, to be fair, but
It's
also
a
the
cool art.
art. But art itself is, yeah, outstanding. So shout out to Rook.
So yeah, let's maybe move on. So these are like the traditional level one monsters, um, and the way we design them is basically that they are straightforward. You need to do this, you need to do that in order to prepare, and then try to fight it. Then maybe use some magic, maybe use some improvement cards to fend off potential hazardous situations, but very straightforward in how they work. But then we move on to level 2 and level 3 and first level 2, where each monster has a special ability that he it's going to basically affect the battle with. And maybe, Gal, we can go through them a bit.
Yeah, we can go like in the order where they're set up here in
Well,
Tabletopia, because we have Tabletopia opened up for anyone, because I know you can't see it because you see me and you see Lan. Obviously, bring the all the monster arts and cards in editing mode so you can see when we're talking about them. But we have them spread out so we can talk them one by one. And first, we have the Water Horror, which I think has a really cool art. This is one of the arts that Rogue did not draw, but shout out to Clint. I think it's Clint, right?
no, it was not cleaned. This was done by the Filipino artist
Ah,
in this
okay,
case.
okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. My
So
bad.
yeah, so basically, this water horror. Gal, can you read out the ability of water horror?
Of course. So you cannot use one random magic and improvement card abilities this battle. You keep the magic bonuses. So basically,
Yeah,
what this means is that this monster negates one magic ability and one improvement card ability, which can be really devastating because, as you know, with a lot of tableau building or deck building games, you usually have some sort of engine, some sort of combos, right? And if you negate one of the cards that kind of engines your combo, it can become really problematic. So, do you want to
yeah,
elaborate
yeah.
more?
Yeah, you basically the monster says like in order for you to use the magic improvement cards and so on, better bring a bit more to the table because I'm going to take something away from you, and that's basically the gist of this monster. It's also a spirit monster, and if you own the blue color die, which is more connected to the magic, you'll be able to fight it more efficiently. So yeah, I think we can move on. So because we are in time as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, yeah. Maybe the last thing that I'll mention, which connects to all of the monsters that lead that we will continue to talk about, is basically that you can see that with like the higher the level of the monster is, usually this is also indicated by the amount of required kingdom knowledge and the base health and the base strength. This is the most basic amounts of how we scale the monsters up. So you require more knowledge to fight them, which means that you usually have to traverse more of the land, read more of the books in the libraries, basically be smarter and know more about monsters, as well as you have to prepare more to beat them, right? So they have more maluses in this case, right? You can fight it with magic, you can have a special die, etc. So you have more ways of reducing the strength, but it has the higher base strength, and you will see that with other monsters from level 2 and level 3 especially. They are the most preparation heavy or needed of preparation, so to say. Okay, we can
Yep.
continue with the Imdugut. Just the first thing I'd like to point about Imdugut is I think this is my favorite monster art out of them all. I know there's a bunch of cool art, but I like that. You also made the hoodie. I know my mother made a hoodie of Imdugut, and I still wear it to this day. So it holds a special place in my heart. The art of Imdugut.
You mean on your sweater, a special place on your sweater. Yeah.
A special
Yeah.
place on my sweater. Yeah.
So yeah, read out the ability of Imdugut.
At the start of each battle, for each experience you spend, monster gets -1 strength. And there's no
So-
limit to that.
There's no limit to that. But the monster comes with 15 strength base. So basically, first thing, lore-wise, this is a monster from that Middle East area. Actually, those Mesopotamia
Sumeria.
type of monsters, Sumeria, yeah, and so on. So shout out. We don't have just Slavic monsters. We don't have typical Nordic monsters or whatever. We have a lot of different lores and so on, because we also have a lot of different regions. So yeah, we try to do that. And the second thing is, yeah, in this case, like this monster is kind of asking you, like, you want to share some experience, you want to prepare and throw a bunch of experience at me, because the more experience you throw at me, the easier the fight. And without experience, don't even think about fighting me, because it's pointless with this type of strength. So it's again about how much do I invest and how much do I need to invest, because if you prepare in other areas like grabbing the color dice, getting the spirit magic, the air magic, the protection magic, avoiding the storms, in which obviously by art this monster is good at, then you will not need to spend so much experience resource, so that would be easier. Plus also this monster is featured on our expansion, Trinity expansion
Box cover.
box. Yeah. So that's also a fun fact.
Also, one thing, experience, as many of you probably already know, is one of the mechanics that enables you to reroll dice. So this is also a cool mechanical kind of twist to maybe in the end, when you spend a couple of experience to reduce it to like a playable strength, like let's say 7 or 6, then maybe you start deciding, do I spend more experience to reduce it further down, or do I save experience in case I, roll a bad roll, so like a 2 or 3, and I will be able to re-roll it with experience. Or so you have those decisions that then they are still there for you. So that's also one of the cool mechanical twists here, but like just a shout out.
Let's move on.
Next we have School
Ooh.
Snatcher. Yeah, this is one of the cooler ones. First of all, it used to be School Catcher, but one of the community members pointed out that it would be much more thematically pleasing if it's School Snatcher, and it makes a lot of sense if you think about it. So now it's School Snatcher. Just first things first.
Yeah. This is definitely how we listen to the community. Anyway, School Snatcher is featured on the scenario book. So yeah, that's a fun fact. The first page of the scenario book, or the front page, sorry, my bad, is going to contain this art, because it's awesome art. Yeah, and ability god, hit me.
Yeah, this one is very cool, and it's very thematic to the School Snatcher itself. Each time the School Snatcher deals damage, you lose 1 random monster trophy. If you have no monster trophy to lose, you lose 1 additional health instead.
Oh, so basically, either you sell the trophies before you go and fight this guy to maybe get some additional coins if you're able to, or maybe you keep the trophies and say, oh shit, I need them to help me get that backup health if I need them. But then also sometimes you have like those double trophies, like I don't know, on Protozoan you have like 2 of those slayed, and you're like, oh shit, I was only able to sell like 1, I still have 1. Well, at least this monster allows you to kind of works as a additional armor, that trophy that you got. So,
yeah. Very cool. Also featured in one of the scenarios with a special ability. Maybe we can talk about that later, but it comes in a basic form, but his ability is much more evolved and much more scary. So yeah, that as well.
Okay.
Then to the next monster, which is Great Karnai Bat. Also, a monster that previously did not have a special ability, not until we did monster revamp, and previously it was manageable. Now it's one of the more scary abilities when you read it out loud, and I can do that right now. It says that you only deal damage if a white die that you roll, or a battle card in case of a spell blade, shows 6. If your green die roll is 6, you may swap it for a white die. Battle cards to deal damage. Damn. So only if you roll a 6, you deal damage to Great Karnaya Bat. However, you can also roll 6 on a green die. So maybe it kind of, it's good to have more green dice in this case if you're trying
to have more green dice. Definitely.
Yeah. Want to talk more about
speed potions? Yeah, like this also features in scenarios. Also, one of the monsters that is not taken from another lore, actually, it was taken from our lore. If you look at the map, you look at the Red Kingdom of Fabula, you will see the Great Karnaya Forest. And little that people know, Great Karnaya Bat resides in those forests. And there are, like, I believe, like 2 lore pieces connected to this. One is a scenario-wise, and one is I think character-wise. So 2 lore pieces actually connect to this very monster and explain a bit more about it. But it's a poisonous fast monster basically, and yeah, you better invest something in speed and trickery dice, the green dice, to help you along the way, so you are able to fight this.
Yeah, thematically, this is the fastest monster that we have, and it's also the only monster which loses strength if you use speed potions, which is a very cool mechanical way of saying you better be fast in order to hit this monster, right? So that's a cool thing as well. Then on to the next one, which is probably the most unique level 1 monster that we have, if you have to ask me, which is Witch. Which is the Witch. And the most special thing about the Witch, well, 2 special things actually. The first is that it only has 1 health. And you're saying, Gal, why does it only have 1 health? I just need to hit it once. Well, to be fair, it has a very high base strength, but you can lower it without, spending 17 experience, like in case of the Imdugut. But what makes the Witch even more special is her special ability, which says that every battle round, Witch rolls all 3 color dice, so blue, red, and green. And if you roll blue die and it's 6, you lose 1 experience. If you roll red die at 6, you lose 1 health. And if you roll green die at 6, the Witch flees. And if it flees, you end the battle immediately, and you have to redo everything from the potions you used to the you have to fight it in another round probably. You used your action. It really sucks if it flees away. So yeah, this is Witch.
Yeah, usually people will not fight it like that if they're not prepared. That's the reason. The cool thing about this, and the cool thing that you feel right now listening to this podcast, is that we are going to tell you, how to defeat the Witch.
Metagaming.
Metagaming designer 101. Look. It has 1 health. Yeah. Now you can fight it in a traditional way. However, be smart and take either fire magic or some improvement cards that can also deal damage. You can also come into the battle with already positioned dice, because you can use dice that were 6s, then let you activate those cards and so on, and you can already lock them and then activate the card, and it's ready for you when you need it. So you just come into this battle and bang, you hit it immediately or soon if you didn't lock the die, because you have like this fire magic or some improvement cards that let you do damage and so on. And then it's a goner. That doesn't really matter. Your strength can be shit against hers. You can be level 1 monster hunter, but you outsmarted the Witch. So this is now your bonus for listening. This podcast is now we gave you like a quick tip on how to win in Silvercorn Age of Monster Hunters.
By only fighting witches. and having
Yeah.
a long time. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, no, it's a cool mechanic. Then next we have the River Troll. Um, yeah, River Troll looks menacing, and it has a special ability that says that it can only be found on stormy days. So
Mm.
yeah, you can't fight River Troll. You can't find the River Troll unless it's a storm. So
Yeah.
you either need to
Really.
have a special improvement card, or you need to wait and wait and wait until you have a storm.
Yeah. Yeah. One of those that you really need some planning in order to fight it. But yeah, um, the art is sick for me. I like the blurring effect as it swings the massive tree stump or whatever this piece of stuff is. It's definitely tree stump. So anyway, cool art, cool monster, straightforward in what it does.
Yeah. Then I'll actually switch this so we can talk about first about the swamp form, which is
Yeah.
also it has a very cool special ability as well. So it says that if you're not full health, you gain one poison token when you damage swamp form. You may heal in this battle. And another thing that connects to this is that one of the bonuses that you can have against this swamp form is that you gain. I mean, the monster loses one strength if you are at full health, which means that oh boy, when you take that first um, damage, it really sucks because you start getting fucking the poison tokens, and it really sucks. I want to elaborate more.
Yeah, I mean, you can be prepared. You can have stacked health potions. This is one of the rare cases where you can actually heal in between the battle.
Yeah,
But also you better be stacked with antidote potions to counter all the potentials poison that you may be getting fighting this monster. So yeah,
yeah. For
green guy,
any
green guy.
and for any Dune Imperium or Dune enjoyers as well, this is like a cool connection with the swamp worms, with the desert worms. Um, but yeah, on to the last level 2 monster, and actually the strongest level 2 monster, at least how we, um, depending on the amount of reward, the coins you get for defeating it. And it's also one of our poster boys, which is Werewolf. The first art that we had for this game, and it's a sick art. We should have probably, like with the bloopers, we should have like showed you the first sketch that was of Werewolf, which was like night and day from what this is now. It was more about like a cartoonish, doggy boy, and not this menacing werewolf that will shred you to pieces. Yeah, with just a glimpse. But yeah, his special ability is that he can only be found on full moon, which is very thematical about werewolves, and it can't be hit if you roll a 1 or a 2, which is also very devastating, especially because he's not the easiest to, get to a normal range of strength of 6 and 7 as well. So, anything else you want to add?
No, the annoying ability of this monster. Also, thematic wise, if you want to be more prepared, you need to have the Oldemort, or rather the Blue Kingdom knowledge from the north, where they know most about this menace. So, yeah, yeah, like, yeah, I think we can move on because otherwise we're going to be talking all day.
True. Okay, so then we have our box cover. Actually, okay, I did not. This was random of how we positioned it, but maybe we can start talking about our box cover, which is the Atosian dragon, which is the poster boy, and one of the the coolest arts that we have, obviously because it's featured in the box cover, but also one of the strongest, if not the strongest, and the most specific level 3 monster. And it says that he can only be battled with red and blue color dice. You can use a maximum of 3 color dice, and you can add the results of all 3 dice, but they cannot be used for improvement or magic cards. Okay, this was a mouthful, but basically what this means, you cannot fight him with normal white dice. First of all, you need to buy at least 2, if not 3 color dice if you want to fight him effectively. And then you can't use those dice for anything else. And you still have to defeat a strength of 16. which is a lot, and also
Yeah.
7 knowledge requirement.
You better bring that strength down, yeah. But otherwise, he's also featured in the video, Kickstarter video, and he's the lore-wise monster. So yeah, he lives in Atosia. Yeah, he's not red dragon, black dragon, you name it, dragon. He's an Atosian dragon. So yeah, and on flow rounds, yeah, on flow rounds, you actually get a bonus against these beasts. So um, uh, better to stack on color dice, I would say, when fighting this monster,
And magic.
also, yeah, and basically, like for all level 3 monsters, more or less, just come prepared, come with improvement cards, come with magic cards, and but because the rewards are then sick, also look at these 660 coins,
6
man,
reputation.
like 6 reputation. Yeah. Anyway, moving on.
Moving on, then we have the 2 community monsters. First, the Dreambreaker. Oh boy, this is a cool monster. You can see that the later that we develop certain monsters, the more unique and crazy abilities they have. So if I read it out loud, this monster uses 3 cards, 1 real and 2 fakes. They are marked with the Dreambreaker symbol on the back, and before each battle round, you shuffle and reveal all of them face up. When dealing damage, choose a card and reveal its back. If it's fake, you deal no damage, and if it's real, you deal 1 damage. And you can spend some amount of magic flow each round to pick at the back of that amount of cards. So if you spend 2 magic flow, you can pick at 2 cards, or if you spend 3 magic flow, you can pick at all 3 cards before assigning damage. But again, you need to do that every single battle round, which costs a lot of magic flow if you want to be like 100%.
This one is mentally tough on how you go about it, like, because you can invest a lot into like being sure, or you can risk it for the biscuit a bit more. Yeah, we'll see how players try to resolve this puzzle, or
Also,
go about it.
Also, you can see that one of the bonuses says that if you use Magic Flow before the battle round, it loses 2 strength. But you also need to spend Magic Flow to pick at the top of the cards. So, what do? Do
What do you do?
reduce the strength and try to fight it, with normal base strength, or do you not and do you pick it and you risk it whether you deal damage or not? It's a very, very, you know, it breaks your dreams
In your heart,
and your
in
heart.
your soul.
But no, a very cool monster. And then another community monster, which is Hydra. And Hydra says that each round the Hydra rolls its white dice, and it starts with 1. Lose 1 health for each 6 rolled. Each time you damage Hydra, add 1 die to its roll. You may heal during this battle. So again, it will gain more and more dice when you start fighting it, and when it starts losing health. Then you can lose a lot of health. That's why you need to be prepared. You need to have a lot of health potions in advance to heal when it suddenly deals 2 damage in 1 round or 3 damage in 1 round, and you're like, damn.
Yeah.
Devastating.
And speed potions, like, because speed potions can also prevent damage. So yeah, better to stack on speed potions also.
Also, a cool art, I have to
Cool
say.
art.
Okay, then we have the Blood Goldhorn. Also another Easter egg here, because this is from the Zlatorog, which is one of the mythological creatures here in Slovenia, in the Alpic regions especially. We also had a beer that it featured it as its logo, called Lashko. Like a funny thing. But yeah, Blood Goldhorn here, another cool art, and a very menacing monster. It says that for each colored die that you have, it has +1 health. Like, we saw that you want to have as many like color dice as you possibly can when fighting a bunch of different monsters, mainly because you can either damage them, or they lose strength this way, or you can use your improvement card or magic abilities. But in this way, the more you have them, the stronger this blood gold herd is. Because thematically, it basically, you can see from the art, but it basically sucks the energy and the flow around it from the environment. And, this means also from you, right? The more magical abilities and flow that you possess, the more it takes from you and the stronger it becomes.
Yeah. And nothing more to add, basically. You said it all.
Yeah, maybe you can take over the next one, the Cyclops.
Lose 2 strength each time you're hit. I think this one is straightforward. Like, it's gonna smash you hard. Each time you're getting smashed, you're gonna, be hurt.
He's a big boy.
So yeah, to bring protection magic, gonna be more important for this one. Bring protection magic, some type of protection, if you can, from the improvement cards and stuff like that, because you're in for some smash fest with this one.
Yep. Okay, moving on. Next, we have the Griffin, another classic from the mythology. Griffin can also be only fought with the color dice, in this case red and green color die, and you can use a maximum of 2 of them. In case of Atosia dragon, we could use 3. In this case, we can only use 2. And as well, they cannot be used for improvement cards, but they can be used for magic cards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. First, I would like to say that I really like this art. Every single time I see the Griffin, because like most of the monsters are like these menacing creatures who are like so enormous, massive, and hero finds them at the top of the mountain or whatever. But then you get this, this creature is just wreaking havoc. Look at the farmers running away, trying to fend it off with a pitchfork. It's like it brings to life the world these people are living in. Like, Griffin is a menace. Yeah.
Yeah. Then we have the vampire, the succubus, the vampire. Also another one that uses seduction, and thematically also has an ability that each time it does damage, it heals 1 health. Very vampire-like.
Yeah, those of you who have played like Heroes of Might and Magic 3 gonna remember this one. Every single time it hits, it heals. So
Blood
yeah,
magic, yeah.
Yeah, this can be quite annoying also. So maybe good to prevent some of the damage again with protection magic and stuff like that, to prevent her from also healing and stuff. So yeah.
Yep. Then we have Basmo, another monster with a very unique ability, very special ability, which says that at the start of the battle you discard X amount of kingdom cards, and you fight for a maximum of that many battle rounds, plus 2 additional rounds. After that, the monster flees. And as you all know, you start with 3 hand size, and when you gain more and more knowledge tokens, kingdom knowledge, then you increase your hand size, but to a maximum of 6. So at best case scenario, when you have all the kingdom knowledge, you still have to have 6 different kingdom cards, which you then discard, and you can only fight for 8 rounds. So you better deal 5 damage in those 8 rounds, because otherwise, man, is going to be very hard for you.
Yeah, definitely one of those. Again, plan, gather resources, use the resources, beat it. Don't cry later on that you were unlucky. Yeah.
Another one, which is also very unique and specific in terms of its abilities, it's Baba Yaga. Another witch, but this witch is a bit more special. It comes from the mythology, the Baba Yaga, the Russian, the Slavic mythology. And it says that after each battle round, you draw a random kingdom card. If this kingdom card matches the battle's kingdom, you lose 1 health. You may heal during the battle. So you'll be drawing random kingdom cards, and if you fight in the green region and you draw a green card, you lose 1 health. And this can happen multiple times, and it's very annoying. Also, you have to have the bonuses that it has. You still have to have like 6 different kingdom cards in your hand in order to reduce its strength to 6 in this case. So it's a very hard monster to fight and to prepare for. Let's put it like that.
Correct. Two more, yeah. Manticore.
Or yeah, we can go Manticore. Yeah.
Okay.
Wanna take over?
Basically, if I can read it from here, if poisoned can use color dice for improvement improvement cards and character abilities for improvement cards and character abilities. So basically, don't get poisoned. Would be like the idea behind this, because if you get poisoned, then not good.
A world of pain for you. Yeah, awaits.
Uh,
And the last level 3 monster is again another Easter egg from Slovenia, and it's called Kurant. And for anyone that's been here or that knows, traditions of Slovenia, you know that in February that we have a special, not really holiday, but a special day, which is or part of the day, a carnival basically, yeah, which happens on a specific day, which basically that a lot of people dress in different costumes, in different masquerades, and they dance in order to, band of the wind, yeah, and called to spring. And Kurant is the most famous masquerade that comes from Slovenia, and it's scary looking with the long tongue, and the bells, and we kind of wanted to showcase what a monster, an actual Kurant in Atosia would look like, and oh boy, it's cool and menacing.
Correct.
It says,
read its ability.
Yeah, his ability says that each battle round you must one time only reroll your highest battle die, and one die only. So this means that if you roll 6 and 6, you have to reroll one of the 6s, and then if you roll 1, then that result counts and you have to reroll again. So it basically negates one of your rolls, and it's pretty high strength monster, and you can't reduce it. I mean, you can reduce it, but it's hard to reduce its strength effectively, which means that you really want your high rolls to stick and not to be rerolled later on. So yeah,
Right.
a tough ability. Okay, we covered all of the base game monsters. Obviously, some of them were added with the stretch goals, but now we also have the scenario monsters. I think we have some spare time left. We are just shy of 1 hour long, so maybe we can talk about them. Now, we already showcased one of the scenario monsters in one of the scenario showcases, spotlights, I guess, and it was the scenario of Icy Winds. And the monster here is Hjalborn, actually. Yeah. Lan, do you want to talk about it? I know I wrote about it in the update, but maybe you can talk about it a bit more from the designer perspective, and how the end battle, the boss battle, looks like.
Yeah. So basically, here we go into that a bit more fleshed out battle scene. The monster itself has like different abilities, and as you battle it, you will damage the monster but also take away some of its abilities, and it's up to you to decide which abilities you want to go after, or do you want to just go after its health as soon as possible. So it's that decision making about what do you want to do. Do you want to kill the monster off as soon as possible, leaving its abilities intact, and which abilities maybe you want to off first, or do you rather just focus on taking out the abilities which are annoying and battling the monster itself? So that's the gist of it. And then thematically wise, with the scenario of this monster is causing this special weather to happen in that scenario, which is the icy wind weather that is happening, because the entire regions are covered into this ice. So yeah.
Yeah, a very tough battle, and this really gives you this boss battle vibes. That Elden Ring music starts playing when you start battling this, so it's cool. And
Yep.
And then we have two more scenarios that feature different monsters. One of them we already mentioned, with the Skull Snatcher, with the gargoyle, and it's called Visions. We didn't really talk about Visions that much. We might do a scenario spotlight if you want in the near future in one of the updates. But Lan, do you want to talk about the monsters or what the scenario is actually about, so they know the concept of the
Yeah,
monsters
really
and
quickly.
the context?
Really quickly, basically, there are like 4 different monsters that are possible to fight in these scenarios, but you do not know at the beginning of the scenario which 3 are going to pop out. And you are going to basically be tasked by slaying those monsters, and as you slay them, the scenario is won. Very stereotypical and straightforward in a way of how do you do it, but the monsters themselves are a bit unique. 2 of them we have already met. We introduced them today.
Three of
One
them.
is actually, yeah, 3 of them kindish. I will explain. Maybe 3 of them, yeah. Anyway, one is the werewolf, which basically works as a werewolf, or works as we explained. However, in this scenario, it's more about werewolf goes, and then a werewolf attacks a human being, and then another werewolf comes out, and then another werewolf attacks a human being, and another werewolf. So if you don't want to be fighting a bunch of werewolves, you better take care of that monster as soon as possible. If the second monster is, in this case, the Skull Snatcher, then it's another ball game. It's about, he's hunting for particular targets, and your job is to make sure that it doesn't happen, that you prevent it from reaching its goal. So it's again, oh, you better go and, stop the Skull Snatcher because he's going to reach his target, and if he reaches his target, the scenario is lost. So again, okay, werewolf multiplies, this guy will reach the target, or do I go after him right now, and so on. Then you have the third monster that potentially can come up, which is the gargoyle, as Gal mentioned. So yeah, potentially 3. Why I say potentially? Because the gargoyle's special ability is that it can actually,
Evolve.
mutate, evolve into a
Like
stronger
Pokemon.
version, like a Pokemon. Gotta catch them all. So, Gal, if you're already displayed the first version.
It's actually
Yeah,
called Stone Warden, not the
that's
gargoyle.
why I said. Yeah, that's why I said it's called a Stone Warden. This monster. And if you let it evolve, then it will turn into a um, then it will turn into a granite behemoth. And if it will evolve further on, it will turn into an even stronger version, which is the marbled horror. So the more you will let it evolve, the more you other monsters, it will mean that this one will become stronger and stronger. So now imagine you have these 3 monsters that you have to fight. On one end, one is multiplying. On the other hand, one is getting stronger. On the third end, one is reaching and getting closer to its goal by killing someone, and you losing the scenario. So what do you go after first? How do you do it? But then it's also a fourth monster, which is totally unique and specific to this scenario, and it's called actually the poisonous slime. And as its name says, basically it's throwing a bunch of poison at you, and you better come prepared with the antidote potions and stuff like that, because this monster is going to do that also. So what do you do? Which monster do you go after, and so on and so forth? Because also this monster will start collecting more and more poison on itself and becoming more and more dangerous the more you leave it alone. So this is the battle you have to choose in this scenario on how to find these monsters first. But then after you find them and see where they are, then you need to battle them, and then you need to decide which one do you go after first, and so on and so forth. So yeah, this is the visions.
Then there is another scenario which I'm not going to mention because I do not want to spoil things, but there is a specific scenario that also has a special end battle, end monster, but you shan't know about it until you try
You
it.
you shan't know about it, yeah, because it's
It's a secret until you try it because it's
yeah,
a
it's a
mystery.
it's a
It's a
it's an
mystery.
enigma. Yeah. Yeah.
It's an enigma.
Anyway,
The last
anyway,
one.
yeah, but then there's also other god. There's actually 4 hexen,
Yeah.
and we have yeah, yeah. So in the 4 hexen, the trilogy, we are actually there. You're actually fighting the witches. but not the typical witches that you were introduced here, with one health and so forth. No, 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 no. These are the four sisters, hand in hand. You know, as Shakespeare would want you to know. These are actually, the seasonal witches. So one is a summer witch, one is a spring witch, one is an autumn witch, one is a winter witch, and they are affecting the not just weather. They are affecting the environment. They are affecting stuff that is happening in the world and so on and so forth by mixing this pot, which is a really cool mechanic that I love. And not only that, but then these witches, they have their own abilities, and you do not know which abilities they will have, and they basically can become they can be different. They can be like a void witch, a cartomancy witch, uh, you know, different types of witches that you're going to be fighting, and you do not know which type of witch you're going to be fighting. So again, you have to learn about that, and then go and try to slaughter them. And you do that in 3 years of game time. That's why it's called a trilogy. And you have like these various events and the stirring of the pot that is happening. But the battles with them are also really because they have these unique abilities where depending on what type of witch it is, the battle will feel very different. So yeah, some things are left to discover for you when the game is finally delivered, when you're playing and so on. But yeah, yeah, that's also
Okay.
uh,
And with that, we kind of ended our showcase and our overview of monsters in Silvercoin Age of Monster Hunters. Do let us know if you enjoyed any of them or which is your favorite one, and why, perhaps. We are definitely. I was excited to talk about them. Um, but yeah, this was another episode of Silvercoin Podcast. If you have more suggestions about the topics, do share them. We will enjoy talking about them. I think one of the plans that we have moving on is to eventually have some tier lists, and maybe we can do also monster tier list events eventually. But mainly, like the scenario tier list is something that I'm excited about, and character tier lists and stuff like that. So a bunch of tier lists. But yeah, I enjoyed doing those. Lan, any ending words?
no, just about that I personally really like designing these type of things. Would even maybe want to in the future, if people like the game enough, to develop these aspects of this aspect of the game even further, the battles and so on. But these are definitely things that need to be developed with an expansion, because the base game is huge as it is, and it has so much to offer and different things. So I I just love the world we are building, and hopefully people will also love it. Or I think that they will, because so much was invested in this. This is such a deep world. So yeah, and monsters are an important part of it.
Yeah, okay. So that's it from our side. And talk to you soon in another podcast episode or maybe a playthrough of competitive. Who knows? Okay, see you and bye, guys.
Take care. A lot of silver coins, guys.